Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite Creator. And I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive the healings, the wisdom, and the knowledge from the universe. Now, this particular subject has come up several times here recently. I was recently down in Florida and had a chance to visit with my sister, who is a couple of years younger than I am. And her subject was, Dave, I'm going to retire. And I'm like, oh, really? You're going to retire this year? Yes. She goes, I've had enough. I've decided that, why wait any longer? I'm not getting any younger. And there are a lot of people out there. Hi, big little Mew. This is for you. Dum da da dum. And I figured it was just easier to go ahead and discuss this because I've discussed it. There are a lot of friends my age who are either have just retired or are going to retire. Like my sister, she'll be retiring in February around her birthday, which is around the 13th or the 14th. I was trying to remember around Valentine's Day, but anyway, but she just decided. So the conversation about retirement, and a lot of people like, well, what am I going to do with my time? What am I going to do? Well, I was always a slave to the clock. As an engineer, you got to be there on time. You got to be there to work on machines. You got to work overtime, and machines are down. It tears into your own personal time, what you want to do. And then people reach. I've got a friend of mine who just retired a couple of months ago, and he's going nuts. He's like, no, I'm going to go find a job. I need to go find a job. And I'm like, why? Because I don't know what to do with my time. And I don't know what to do because he's so used to having someone delegate what to do each day. So he shows up for work, a machine breaks, work on that machine. So you don't have to think about it. You do your work and you think about what you have to do to repair the machine or whatever job it is that you're required to do. But every day somebody gives you a list of things that you're supposed to accomplish or do. So as you do this, and hello everyone, big little Mew, Dominic, Chloe, hi there, Melanie, pleased to see you all in this evening, and blessings to you all. Keep sharing. But the idea, though, of this retirement thing, of people some folks just go absolutely back crap cray cray, because what am I going to do with my time? And I think to myself, there's so much stuff to do in this world on your own with somebody. I mean, and you can't find anything. Are you trying to tell me that you can't quit your job and get paid whatever salary it may be, learn to live within your means? There's still, a couple of years ago, after I got on my disability, I was still able to pick up a couple of bucks here every once in a while. Recently, I don't do heavy carpentry or anything like that anymore, but there were ways that I could pick up a few bucks here and there on the side. My sister even said, there are people here in the trailer park. Some of them are way too old, but they want to have their trailer washed, and I can make 25, 50 bucks just washing somebody's trailer or something, So there are ways, especially in populated areas, there's always somebody needing a little something. There are knitting clubs. There are, God knows, there are other old folks who don't know what to do with their time, and they get together. And sometimes it's a quilting bee, sometimes it's whatever it is. But the thing is that people are so relegated to someone else telling them what to do that they don't know what to do. And they're afraid, oh my God, what if I and trust me, it's a big, giant ass leap. You're going from always being told something to do to now it's up to you to decide what you want to do. What do you want to do for the day? Well, I don't know. I feel kind of lazy. Well, then feel lazy. And I had a friend of mine. She was a professor of psychology down at Valdosta State College many years ago. For many years, she was a professor, and she was my dear friend until she passed away. She's still out there somewhere. Hi, Miss Willa. But she taught me a lot of good stuff years ago. And she goes, listen, when you get to the age, you take it, so you have to change how you live. So you have to, but if you keep yourself out there, in other words, she made extra money when she retired from driving back and forth to the college every day, or as many times as she had classes. She went into consulting on a part-time basis and would still go to the college, but would fill in as a teacher and so forth. She said, I make almost as much money, but I'm still getting my retirement, and I can tell them no if I don't feel like it, rather than I have these classes I'm assigned to do and I must show up. Now it's my choice to whether or not. And she goes, I actually want to go more now than I did when I was a full-blown professor or associate professor. I can't remember what it was, but to the point. So she told me, she goes, of all the things she had learned in her old age was, listen, take what you have when you got it. If you're 65 or older, or even 62, listen, if you can get a part-time job at the age of 62, like my pops did, he could choose the times that he wanted to work, how many days he wanted to work as an independent contractor kind of thing, doing deliveries and things down in Tampa. He made a lot of extra money, as much as he could make and still get his early retirement at 62. But it kept him on the road and it gave him things to do. But he was a meat cutter. He was a carny, and then he went into delivering things for people around town and such. But it kept him going. He met people. So he found another way to spend his later years. And he started playing golf more because he had more time to play golf. He actually moved to where there was a golf club a half a block away from where his house was when he finally moved there. So he had to walk 100 yards to tee off. He chose what he wanted to do, and he figured out that, his expenses. Same thing with my Aunt Shirley, who's 84 now, or will be in December. And so me having been on disability for a few years now, and now fully retired at 67, I look at my life and go, I've got more money in my pocket right now because I've learned to live within my means. And I did a video earlier today about value. What do we value in life? And sometimes you go into the dollar store and you go, ooh, look at that value. And you buy it and you take it home and you got a house full of trinkets and stuff that don't really mean quite much to nothing. But the thing is that as I've gotten older, and as I've probably shared with you all, one of the things that I've understood is like, wait a minute, do I need all this stuff? And I'm in speaking with many of my friends here within these last couple of weeks. So this is recent ongoing conversations I'm having with friends my own age, family members about this. Okay. So I'm sharing this is that, oh, well, I'm so used to being able to go to the store and buy what I want because I have a job and I got that. Well, wait a minute. Oh, but shopping is like their pastime, so which shopping requires spending money. So one of the things you have to break is that, wait a minute, well, I've got a job and I've got an income and you got this, and now you're going to get your income cut because you're going to be on a disability or on retirement. So yeah, you're going to get a cut in your pay, but do you still need to do the same things that you did? And the thing is that now's the time, even at old age, there are a lot of people. There was a little old lady, and I can't remember where. It's happened in several different places. But I want to say it was like locally years ago. She went back to college and graduated at age 90. She was sharp as a tack. She was a little slow in getting around and had a walker, but she was, talk about a vibrant person. She went back to college because she wanted a college degree and graduated when she was like 89 or 90. And what's to say you can't? So wait a minute. I'm going to retire. What am I going to do with my life? What the hell do you want to do with it? Well, I don't know. I've never thought about that. And I look at folks and I go, listen, well, don't you like to paint or something? Well, yeah, but I just paint as a pastime. So maybe you could paint more often. There are places here in Moultrie and in Thomasville that you can get on. There are classes for elderly retired folk, and admit it, if you're in your 60s, you're elderly and retired or getting there. So admit it. And I know for a lot of folks, it's like, I don't want, by saying that I'm retired, it's almost like I'm giving up. I'm giving up from the workforce. No, not necessarily. There's a lot of things that people do. There's one guy, in fact, and myself, if I can ever get my shop put back together again with the help of Miss Dawn. And hi, everybody. Melanie, Chloe, My Sky 5D. It's good to see you. And good to see everybody, and blessings continued. But the idea, though, with this retirement thing, it's not the end. It's a whole new beginning. Folks need to look at it like that. They panic. I don't know what I'm going to do because I've always had a boss. Well, then go to find some place that you want to learn. Okay, say you want to learn about photographic equipment. then go to work part-time cleaning up a shop for somebody that works in photography. Maybe they need somebody to help with setting up lights or something. Maybe they do an outside shoot. Maybe they need help with a wedding or something. And you can get a little bit experience and pick up a couple of bucks and not be bored, and by going to do video shoots. I used to do that myself back in the day. And so it's like, and there's some good money in it. And if you live in any kind of neighborhood and have a little bit of thought, put yourself out there. Well, I'm retired and trying to pick up a little bit of extra work, and tell them who you are. I want to work with a wedding planner, but I don't want to work full time. There was a lady that I knew many years ago. I think she's passed by now, but she was in her late 60s, early 70s, and bake. Oh my God, could she bake? So she found a niche, if you will, depending on where you're from, in the baking. So she made these little hors d'oeuvre kind of little thingies, and everybody loved them. And she made a couple of batches, passed them out for free to some of the local caterers, and people went, "Oh my God, I want to buy some of those." So they knew what she had, and they'd call her on the phone. She didn't even have to leave the house. She'd whip up a batch in her kitchen, and the people would come by and pick them up, pay her the money, and off they'd go and deliver them. She just did this baking in her house. So, and she loved baking, so but the thing is that she didn't go nuts. She found another way to use what she already knew. Now, for us old folk, I know some of us are going a little bat crap cray cray, and we have, issues with our short-term memory and things like that. But in putting yourself out there, years ago, when I got busted for marijuana growing in my backyard, they caught me with helicopters. That's a whole nother story. But part of my penance that I had to pay to the county and to the state for having a couple of, ounces of homegrown weed in my backyard, I had to do penance by helping out at the old folks, the retirement, the senior center. I'll get it right. So I would go in every day to the seniors in there for several months, is what my probation called for, and for community service and so forth, and which I was proud to do. I was pleased to go in there and hang out with these folks a couple hours every day to work off my debts to society. So it's like, the influence. And now I'm one of these old people. But, for some of those folks back then, 25 or whatever years ago it's been since that occurrence, people get together for the damnedest reasons. Well, you got a free lunch if you showed up to the senior center. And depending on where you live, they'd come and get you to the senior center. Well, I don't know. That's too much trouble. And why would I want to go? Because you meet other people your age, for God's sakes. And what's wrong with that? Nothing. But the thing is, you at least have something in common, your age. You may be coming from different, religions or whatever, but if you go together, there are games, there are things, there's conversation with people, there's whatever's going on. And one little old lady had a heart attack, and we all came in, and the bad news came through. And I mean, I had a tear in my eye because I'd helped serve her just the day before there at the senior center. And, she was now dead, and because she had a heart attack overnight. And I mean, we was all, I felt like family with them folk, during those months that I worked up there. And so it's like, there's lots of things we can do that don't necessarily cost money. There's a lot of things we can do to change our lives, those of us who are our age. And even for the folks who wish to branch off on your own, pick something that nobody's doing, or pick a couple of things and go for it. Find those things, a talent. If there's not enough plumbers, then go do plumbing. If there's not enough something, whatever, chimney sweeps, then go do chimney sweeping, whatever it might be. Hello, Mary Wins. How are you? My Sky 5D. Hi there. You had a similar marijuana incident? Well, high five, cheers, thumbs up, and all that to that, eh? Crazy bastards. But they spent more money on that helicopter to catch me with about an ounce and a half of weed. So the governor of Georgia was not happy at the time. But anyway, that's I've told the story, but maybe it might be again for another time to retell the story. But anyway, it's all on public record. I was on the Georgia National News. My name was all over the state. Anyway, David Knoll gets caught at, by GBI with a, helicopter in South Georgia, blah, 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 news at 11. I'm like, holy crap. But anyway, yeah, for about 2 ounces of weed, maybe. And it was like leaf, it wasn't even bud. I looked at it off topic slightly, but I looked at the drug guy with, the local guy, and I was like, you guys couldn't have waited until it like got a little heavier, got some bud on it. You mean it's nothing but leaf right now. It didn't even turn into it. You could have waited another week or so. You knew where it was, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no. I was like, well, then anyway, I just thought it was funny about the whole thing. But to the point, though, about retirement, go into gardening. People say, oh, gardening. Oh, listen, okay, so do potted plants. You don't have to dig up your front or backyards or side yards or whatever. But, you can garden in small containers. Several of my elderly friends of mine at my age do little spot gardens. One has a couple of pots, and she's got tomatoes, those little viney ones, and they keep putting out, and she keeps watering them. And there's a pepper plant, and there's this and there's that. She's got plants, all, little planters around her house, and she has a hard time getting around. But at the same point, it gives her something to do. She can go out with her watering can and water all the flowers or all the plants. So, and there is value in that, as was discussing in a previous video. What do you find is value? So now you have time on your hands to get a couple of potted plants. You can grow your own lettuce in a pot. You can grow all kinds of stuff, fresh peppers, whatever that may be. What, you don't want to have fresh vegetables? Now you got time to do it. So what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Well, sit down and think this for once. Nobody's going to tell me what time I have to punch in or what time I have to punch out. I choose to do what I want to do. Now, provided, it's not going out and killing folks for, I'm become a part-time assassin or something like that. Of course, I must admit there are some folks that may be, anyway, we'll leave it at that. But if it's pursuant to anything good, I mean, there are folks, and men and women, who, for example, is just to throw something out there, for example, upholstery shops for automobiles and places like that. And, people that have sewing skills or want to learn about leather crafts. There are places where you can apprentice, if nothing else, and you work for free and somebody teaches you the craft or leather work, for example, how to punch some holes and this and that. We were in the smoke shop in Thomasville yesterday and went through the leather shop taxidermy place and then around the back through all the shops up to where the smoke shop is. But to the point, though, there's all these leather works and crafts and stuff. And I think to myself, my brother and I used to do that, 20 years ago. We did leather work for people. And I wondered where there was a leather place outlet for stuff. And it's like, but there's not many people who do leather work around here. And there's, you can, now I do think that some people overcharge for some of the leather work, but a true person who sits with a piece of leather, wets it, pounds it out, and puts details into leather pieces, that's some hard work. It does require a talent and some amount of skill, a lot of repetition. But the thing is, so go into something like that part-time. There are all kinds of seamstress, people who need things mended. There was one lady who took in part-time ironing, and she was like, I don't have to go anywhere. They bring me their laundry. It's all clean. I iron their shirts and hang it up, and they pay me. And it's like, and I get to watch my programs in the afternoon, and nobody tells me what to do. I just have to have it done by 6 o'clock because they're going to swing by and pick it up. But, so there are so many things, and that's just a small laundry list of things, if you will, in using the, the ironing, for example. But there are all kinds of things, little things that people need done, and old people can fit that bill. It may be just house sitting for somebody. Put yourself out there for these other things that you've never had time for. But the biggest thing is you have to understand, you got to make up your dadgum mind that it's my life. I'm going to do with it what I want. And this is a whole new ball game for me, but I'm going to pick something that maybe I've never tried before, but always wanted to. So it becomes an adventure to me. But it's your life part 2, or maybe part 3 or 4. It's the next phase. Jump on it, because us old ass people, after, at my age of 67, what the hell do I have? What am I waiting for? What? Are you kidding? If I'm going to get back into shape and hopefully be at least this good in the next 5 years. I don't want to get any worse, for God's sakes. No, if I'm going to live longer, I want to try to be as healthy as possible. I want to be able to still go out and do things. But at the same point, if you think of, well, I'm getting old, I give up. Screw that. I'm going to go. You're going to have to stuff me into my coffin before I'm done. And then I'm going to go, wait a minute, I'm not through. Not because I'm scared to go to the other side, but I just want to get all I can out of this life as I possibly can. And it's not to be greedy. It's that I want the experience. I want the total experience. I want the experience of you folk in the chat. I want the experience of going to a river that I've never been to before, or I've been to and always wanted to kayak or something, or someplace I wanted to go and camp, just to be in a certain area to see what it's like. Go visit someone, go over to here, go down over there, go do something that's very simple, but at the same time, you can fulfill your life with all kinds of things, especially in nature, if you try. So, and I know quite a few people. Hello, Sweet Pea. Mary Wins, I already said hello, making sure. Truth in Time, hi there. But, for those folks who are having trouble making this transition, listen, take advantage of it. If you're already in your 60s and you ain't took advantage of it, what the hell are you waiting on? It ain't going to get any better. Working any longer is just keeping you from that goal of becoming another whole person, a whole nother attitude, a whole nother lifestyle, a whole nother view on life and what the value is. Hey, Cherry, good to see you on. So, but with that said, though, and thank you to thank you to all of you for hanging out. Big Little Mew, yeah, thank you for the subject for tonight, because she's the one that asked the question. But the thing is, though, that it has been a subject for many people that I know, my age and so forth. And to my friend up near Tipton, I want to say, listen, man, you've been somebody's slave all your freaking life. You're 65. Do something for yourself. Well, I don't know what to do. Well, you're an electrical wire. You know how to make things and do things. You know how to, well, there's Dawn in the background saying hi back yonder, passing through. To him, I say, look, he's never been camping, for goodness sake. What? He's never spent the night in a tent. What? Go fishing, for God's sakes. Well, I don't know. The boat I got it. Excuses. Everybody has always got a freaking excuse to come up with to not do it. To go out there and Cherry just went, oh, I guess that's like waving your hands there, Cherry. A little graphical interpretation on my own part here. But anyway, but the thing is that it's something that for all of our lives, and the older we get and the more we don't participate in this next section of life, because what's to say when you retire that you got to stop doing anything? No, it's just that you decided not to go to work 9 to 5 every single day and be controlled by the system. And if you don't think the system has got you controlled, then why are people that are 69, 70, 71, 72 years old afraid to retire? I got a neighbor up here on the hill. He's a couple of years older than me, which puts him almost at 70. He won't retire. What am I going to do with my life? Well, don't you like to go fishing? Well, he's worked so much of his time, he wouldn't know how to go fishing now if somebody paid him to go fishing. And the thing is that he's working because he's bored. So, but now for his chances, so he's going to work until he dies. Oh, give some young punk a chance. You are supposed to be retired. I'm sorry that at some point I think there should be a mandatory retirement, because there are young folks who need these good paying jobs. And he's hanging on. Well, he might be making $25 an hour, which down here is pretty good money. But at the same point, wait a minute, you're almost 70 years old. Stop it already. Let the young folk have a chance. Get out, go do something else. And he used to do some farming and stuff around here. So he's got other skills. Now, this is my neighbor I'm thinking of, but am I going to go up there and try to discuss it with him? No, I'm going to leave it alone. But at the same point, he's not the only one. There are people that refuse to give up working because, well, what am I going to do about my income? Well, but think about younger folk. Maybe part of the reason there aren't enough jobs, good jobs for younger folk, is old folk won't get out of the damn way. I'm serious, but there are some old folk who won't get out of the god dog way. And they need to. They're hanging on to certain jobs and things, supervisory positions, where there have been people who are 10, 15 years experience who should have a place to move up. But these old timers won't get the hell out. Retire, for God's sakes. I'm one of the first. Come on, get off that, hey, let these young folk have a chance. But all these same folk want to do is bitch and complain about the young folks don't, why aren't they working harder? Because you're holding back some of these jobs because you won't retire. I'm sorry, at 70, 71, you should retire from a state job. There are people out there looking for jobs and a chance to move up. But supervisors and folks who've been within the system for so long don't want to give it up, man. They still are working all the time, but they don't want to give it up for whatever reason. I mean, there are too many people I know around here my age that are going through this right now. And I just shake my fist and go, man, and you're holding somebody else back. I'm sorry, but you are. I'm not saying they're not capable of doing the job, but there are young folk who are begging for a decent chance, and you've already got yours built up. Retire, get out, let somebody else move up in the ranks so everything can, holding down the lid, if you will. It's going on right around here. So, hey, if it's going on around here, it's going on around a lot of other places too. Some of these CEOs of some of these companies that are making outrageous amounts of money, they ain't got no business running a company that's got their name and they've got their experience, and they point over here once in a while and make some kind of executive decision after the board raises their hand, and and he's paid $1 million or whatever, plus tips and overage and whatever else. And it's like, get out of the way. You should have enough money and property to get the hell out of the way and stop with this, enormous amounts of money for CEOs for dumb companies, and pay your workers a decent salary so that everybody can live. This has got to move up, but there's too many baby boomers who don't want to give up. Now if you own your own business or whatever, that's another story. But if you're working for someone or an entity like the state or the city or something like that, get the hell out and let somebody else have the job. Have enough, stuff to get yourself out of the situation and move onto this next adventure in your life. It's almost like, well, never mind. I was going to use a bad little example, but anyway. It's like, oh, I don't want to get in the water. Why? Well, because it's a little dark. Well, it's dark water. It's a black water river. Well, but that water is not clear like a spring. So there might be something hiding in that water. It's water, and you can see the bottom, but it's not clear spring water. It's, down here in South Georgia, it's because of all the leaves. It's tannin in the water. The water isn't dirty. It has a tannin color. It's sort of rust colored depending. And the water, that water's not clear. It must be dirty. It's tannin. Tannin's actually good for you. They tan hides with tannin. It's leaves. It's a byproduct. It's nature. But the idea that, oh my God, if I can't see it, wait a minute. So people just, don't want to put my foot in the water because they think a certain way. So, but when you understand the situation, there's an adventure, the water's cool, you get to rest yourself, blah, 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 blah. That example, but a simple one. In that, just because somebody doesn't understand something, then I'm not going to do it. So that would hold true for retirement. If you've never retired before, then how the hell you know how to do it? To be quite frank and honest about it. Who writes a book on retirement? Well, there are some people that talk about how they retired out of the business and whatever. But the thing is you get to take back control of your life. You get to do what you choose. Now, sometimes you got to go do something. You got to go get your license renewed by a certain time. There are certain things that you got to do at certain times. Okie dokie. But you basically you're basically, it's your full choice to what you want to do. So to some of these people who say, well, I just don't know what I want to do, then quit being mind controlled by the system. You have to stop and take a step back and go, wait a minute. What have I always really wanted to do? For example, there's a lady that I knew that I used to work for years ago. There were people who volunteered at this stable. This woman loved horses. She couldn't afford one, couldn't afford to keep one if she had one. So she worked with Gilda out at her stables and was around the horses. And there were people who would come who um, simply because she was hanging around horses and brushing horses down, people would say, here, I'll give you X amount of money to like clean out their stall and to brush them down after a ride because they're busy off to go on some highfalutin thing in town or back down to Tallahassee. So they'd groom and put them up, get a little pay, but then later on they'd say, hey, look, we've got a couple of horses. I'm by myself, but I don't want to ride by myself. Saddle up my sister's horse or my friend's horse, and let's go riding together. So what started out as brushing horses and cleaning stables ended up with her being able to ride for free with the rich folk, and hang out and go to the jumping meets and so forth. And it started out because she just chose to go help out just because she liked horses. So, I'm giving you these little examples, but people who don't have any, God, if they don't have any imagination, I'm like, there's so many things to do out there. You want to get into the food industry, volunteer at a restaurant, hey, I want to, learn how to be a sous chef or something. Show me what you do here. Okay, here, chop this up. All right. They'll give you a job in a heartbeat. You want to learn about something else, go check it out. And so people who just don't know what to do, check with your local library. Sometimes there's programs. Check with your local senior citizens, because if you're over 60, you're a senior citizen. 55 is actually when you can actually apply for the AARP. So 55s are double nickels. That was the magic number. So for in old age, if you will. But folks in their 60s, come on, admit it, for goodness sakes. Grow up, as it were, act your age, if you will. But some of this stuff, it's like, okay, guys, hang on. This is, instead of looking at it in some kind of negative thing, you got to look at it positively. Otherwise, it'll drive you nuts. In that it's my chance to do what I've always wanted. Now, if people don't have any idea of what they want to do, sometimes just having a little time off and getting adjusted, they'll find something to do. Or a friend of theirs will go, hey, come on, let's go on an adventure. And off you go in some direction you never would have thought of before. But because you worked all the time, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to go. A friend of mine, for example, a couple of years ago called me up and he goes, hey, what you doing? I said, nothing much. Why? And he goes, well, I want to go away for a couple of days. And I just didn't want to go myself. You want to go? Sure. We packed up, went camping for a couple of days out on the river. And it was like, but had I worked all the time, we couldn't have went out and had just a couple of days on the banks of the river. And we, so many things I would have missed had I been working all the damn time and worried about money and the value of the dollar bill. So, which was an earlier short discussion, but to the point though, and when we get to this age of retirement, we are retiring from the workload. We're not retiring from life. We're retiring from the control of the system. We are saying enough is enough, you sons of bitches. I've got the rest of my life, what's left now at 65 years old, whatever is left of my life, because I devoted it to all of y'all out there to make your money and to keep the system going. Now I got however many years left. Oh, hell, I'm taking it. I'm doing the best I can, and it doesn't require money to do it. And that's the other thing that people who retire, well, I don't know if I can make it. Well, if you're still making a payment on a house and you're over 65, I'm very sorry for you, but you need to make other arrangements. There are people I know who at the age of 67 refinanced their home for 15 years. And I went, what? Well, we wanted to fix something. You refinanced your home? And now he had a year, about six late months after that, he had a heart attack. And all their savings and everything they had and all the bills and so forth. Whoop. Hi, Bob. Here, let's all say hi to Bob. Hi, Bob. Help us out with this little jiggly jiggle going on. But anyway, so to kind of wrap this up, I could complain about why people are bored, but that's the bottom line. There's fear. This is new. They're afraid they're going to be bored. So they need to look at these things and go, what are you afraid of? So the first question to a potential retiree is, why are you afraid? Well, they say, well, the money. Well, do you have enough money to cover your basic bills? Well, yeah, but then I won't have anything left over to do anything with. Well, what did you plan on doing? Well, I don't know, but I won't have any extra money. Well, but now you're going to have all this time to pursue other things. You might be able to make extra money yet. Oh, but so their mind is they've been structured for all their 40 some plus 50 years of working. And now they're looking at things and going, now what do I do? Hey, Max, how are you? Cherry, the milk cow. Oh, yeah. Truth, Cherry. Okay. Wanted to see if I'd missed anybody. So if you know someone, tell them they need to ask the question very, very calmly and very politely. Why are you worried? Why are you scared? Why do you think this is a bad idea? And there are lots of people looking for part-time help because they don't have to pay insurance. So people who get away from the full-time work can still make money part-time and still get their Social Security. So you don't have to quit everything. And so, well, what about this? Look, you're just going to find another avenue. Go to work in a shoe store. Go to work in a clothing store. Go make Subway sandwiches. I don't care. I bet you somebody will hire you for on the short term to help through a lunch session. That my sister years ago, when her kids were still around, she went and worked at Hardee's in the morning and baked biscuits for years. And she worked like from 5 in the morning to like 10 in the morning. And then she was off for the rest of the day. But for her, it's 6 days a week for many years, my sister Lynn made biscuits at Hardee's. Boy, does she know how to make a biscuit. But to the point, though, she wasn't retired yet, but in working with the kids and at school and other things, she, that helped get her by. And that was just one thing. And she goes, I like making biscuits. Lynn, why do you get up? Because I really like doing it, and blah, blah, blah. So, okie dokie. So each person has their own thing. But I bet you if you look around in your neighborhood, and now with the internet, you could make some at home and mail it to somebody through Google or whatever, they'll come pick it up, So it's not like you can't do stuff. So whatever you are, oh my God, embrace it. Don't be scared of it. So ask that prospective retiree type person, hey, look, why are you worried? Look, there are other things that can bring you income and you'll live a much longer life and you'll be able to, hey, maybe you and I can go fishing now, or hey, maybe you and I could hang out more. Maybe, if I didn't have such a bad back and neck, I would be playing golf at least once a week because I used to play golf a lot. And I got a whole set of golf clubs, but my back and neck don't necessarily allow me to walk and swing a golf club. But I kayak instead. I'm not dead and gone. I just do something different. Doesn't mean I give up golf, but I just don't have the whatever's right now to be a golfer. But I still have my clubs, and I could go if somebody really pestered me. I'd say, well, okay, I'll go. I'd pitch in to ride instead of walk the course, but okay, I'll rent a cart and ride around and chip a few balls. Why not? But to go by myself, nah. But the thing is I have the time now. If somebody called me up and offered me that, or say, hey, I need to go up north for a day. You want to ride up there with me? We're going to stay at my sister's, or we're going to camp out someplace, and we'll come back the next day. Want to go up to the mountains? Want to go to the ocean for a day or so? What do you mean? So being retired gives you that opportunity to do stuff that you may not have ever had the opportunity to do. So yeah, getting a little dark, so I turned on the light. But to the point of those potential folks though in the retirement thing, don't look at it as, oh my God, what am I going to do? But oh my God, what can I do? Oh my God, there are so many options, and I think that's what the fear is. You know, people work at the same job, even though as an engineer, I went in as an engineer, and it could be any machine broke down, but I still knew within boundaries that I was going to be working on something like this. Okay. But you know, for those people who bake bread or work in a bakery or who are plumbers or who are carpenters, you know, you don't do that. Maybe you can find out how to go around and build raised beds for people. Maybe you were a welder or something in a previous life. So maybe they're little, you know, lawn ornaments or something you can design, and as an artist you can produce lots of stuff to do. So I look at folks who are afraid and just say, first you need to face that fear. Then the next thing to replace the fear is, what is the positive thing you wish to do? And if you don't have an idea, then find one, for goodness sakes. Or if you're just going to work until you drop, then forget it. I mean, there are those people like my neighbor, the conversation is mute. Nope, he's not going to retire. Nope, he's going to literally walk and he's going to work until he drops, because he has not a clue what else to do with his life. Nothing. And so rather than invent something new or even something previously that he used to do, he would rather work until he dies, literally, until there just ain't no more left. And to some folks, I guess I got to say, well, then, okay, that's your decision. But to be afraid of retirement, for those of us who are like, look, pick something else. But I guess if you got to work till you drop, then have at it. Now I'll be working in the garden and landscaping and stuff until I drop, so I get that. Went down for a short walk in the woods back there to try to clear up some of the damage still left from the hurricane last year, just so I can take a walk in my own backyard. But the thing is that, so for me, you know, landscaping and you know, trailblazing and stuff in my own backyard is still going to go on as much as I can possibly do it. But at the same point, you know, so is that something I like? Yes. Is it rigorous and so forth? Yeah. Should I be doing it at my age? Why not? But the thing is, though, for somebody else who may have done lawn service all their life, maybe they can do some part-time work for somebody. They don't have to work the whole time. And enjoy life, for goodness sake, because at our age, we deserve it. We've worked our ass off for the system, and by God, we deserve some free time. And some people feel guilty because, well, what am I going to do? You know, I sat on the porch the other day and read a book, and, you know, and I felt like I didn't get anything done. I said, you're 66 years old. You're sitting in a rocking chair reading the book. You qualified for that time off. You've worked your ass off in the nursing industry for almost 40 years. Enjoy sitting rocking in the chair without feeling guilty. Read a book on the front porch. Oh my God, I didn't do anything. I read a book all day and sat around. Well, for God's sakes, that's what it's there for. You earned it. And I just told that to my friend the other day, didn't I? I was like, wait, you earned this. You know, you earned the right to sit there and rock on the porch and do nothing, for God's sakes, you know? But so many people my age, they'll have all these phobias. So to tone it down a notch, if you will, in that I look at some of this stuff sort of in a George Carlin kind of way, like, what are you people nuts out there? You know, because I wonder, have they gone buku cray cray? You know, hey, but there's so much that life has to offer, and for spiritually, and for, you know, at old age, if nothing else, but to get away from that everyday bump and grind to a part-time bump and grind, and more time to yourself, because hey, we do need to prepare, and we do need to give our chance, ourselves, that spiritual chance to have some more time for ourselves. if it is just sitting on the porch reading a book in a rocking chair. Nothing wrong with that. See, but my and many of my friends are like this. We have been filled with guilt if we're not working all the time. Oh, but I earned my god dog Social Security. They cut my Social Security because of the trick they played a few years back. And the end of the Bush era, beginning of the Obama, they did some nasties to the Social Security folks there through in there and cut everybody's pay. I should be making 1,200 a month, actually almost 13, and I make 1,000. You know, they cut my pay by almost $400 a month. And so it's like, oh, I'm now over $1,000. Whoopee! Last year was a $7 raise. Mm-hmm. Per month, $7 a month per raise. Yippee! I used to make this much almost in a week. What I make in a month now. But I look at life totally different now. I don't have to go shopping all the time. I don't have to have the best coffee all the time. Although I buy the coffee that I freaking want to drink because that's one of the few things that I'm like I retain. You know, I like coffee. I want my brand, and it's not $20 a pound or nothing like that. But I buy the kind that I want. So you find out what you really like. You stick with those things. Splurge once in a while, save up some money because now that I've got a little cushion here, after just not buying stuff for several months, being sick has its advantages. I saved a bunch of money during the summer by being sick, didn't spend much. But to the point though, now I got a couple $100 I didn't used to have. Is like, wow, I got $200 that I don't owe anybody. You know, wow. If we want to go to the movie and get a pizza, we could. Oh wow, I didn't have that money last month, or you know. But anyway, to the point though. So saving up a little bit of money and pinching that penny has brought me more, and I realized that I was spending money on crap, value related, unrelated things. And so, I still have everything I need. I got most of what I want, and some of the things I want is like, but do I really need them right now? So, you know, if you have that spiritual awareness and asking yourself and your own spiritual and clearing up your own spiritualness, you will make these human choices so that something like retirement is something that you can deal with. But to a lot of people, the idea of retire, so somebody's going to die, you're going to, they've retired, they're dead, the ritual, blah, blah, zoom, you're done with. That's not true. So if you've got somebody you're having problems with or might be having problems with this, say, listen, I'll help you find something to do. There's got to be something else other than your job that you would like to do in your life. Come on now. And, so get out of the fear attitude. Now, like I said, there are some people who just ain't going to do it. No, I'm working here for the rest of my life, and that's all there is to it. To hell with the youngins. And that would they said that to me at one point, and I was like, okay. Personally, I would like, to have had his Social Security check, which is about $1,500 a month, and the boat that he had to go fishing in with the motor in the. But anyway, I won't go there. But to the point, though, so I think I've pretty much run this subject into the ground for 48 minutes and 17 seconds. And let me just read what you got. Full moon meditation. Yeah, seriously, probably, and unless something knocks me out in the meantime, I'm going to be doing a fire and a drum for this Hunter's Moon full circle coming up on Sunday. And we'll probably start tonight in a way, but then tomorrow and Sunday. But then for full moon, I'm definitely going to be I'll be doing a drum for sure. Maybe not necessarily a big fire, but there's going to be fire and out in the field, and there's going to be drum and dance, and ceremony in that respect. There are a lot of Native Americans this time of year who are doing drummings on the weekend. I know there's one somewhere this weekend. We're going to go to one next weekend near Cairo, Georgia. Some folks would look at it and say Cairo, but down here in Georgia, it's Cairo. But just above Tallahassee, there's a place there called the Tama Indian Reservation. And sometimes in the spring they'll have one, but they have a powwow every fall about the third week of October, and it'll be coming up next weekend. So we'll be down there. My daughter's supposed to come up from Pensacola, and doesn't cost very much to get in for the day. And if any of you all out there listening are in the neighborhood or want to come down, they do have some space for camping. Their facilities are very slim, but you're always welcome. And the Native American folks have always been polite and so forth. I've been going to these powwows for years, and they've always been kind and considerate. So, and it's in my neighborhood too that we can go to. But so let me anything. Anybody? Yeah, y'all having your own conversation there in the chat room. Big Little Mew says, I'm saying the 69-year-old needs to kick that loser to the curb and let her child, granddaughter, and others like me help them. I didn't read the rest of it, Big Little Mew, but I absolutely agree with that. There are friends of mine who are dealing with granddaughters and great granddaughters, and it seems to be going around. But folks need to kick these crazy people to the curb and get on with their life, because trying to make something work that ain't worked up to now, no matter how much fixing you try to put in it, if the other person ain't trying to fix it too, you're wasting your time for both of y'all. Get out, get out, get out. Make that separation, because moving on is going to be so much more enlightening, because you won't have that negative energy or whatever around that's making the crap anyway. So I think you get what I mean. Work in herbal gardens and drying herbs, got tea room, and yep, there's all kinds of things. Watch the bees of the moon and stars and planets. Yep. Hi, Ian. How are you? Ian says, I'm in my 50s and I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I'm 67 and I'm still working on it. I got all these other projects, but that don't mean, I'm going to only do one of them. That's the whole idea. Actually, there's so many choices we have. So, yeah, Cherry says she loves cooking for others. And my friend, there were two people down in Thomasville who made quite the income in their own kitchens by catering to caterers. They took them out to lunch, had a bottle of wine, said, here, try some of my hors d'oeuvres. And they went, holy crap, how many of these can you make at a time? So, well, given enough orders, she'd make whatever the batch was. And around Thomasville and Moultrie, there's some people who have a crap load of money at some of these plantations down here in the South. And they can spread some money around like you wouldn't believe. I mean, I look and go, what? But yeah, they spend, money like water sometimes on some of the dumbest things. But if you're in line for some of those dumb things, there was a friend of mine who worked 2 to 3 days a week with one caterer and made enough during those 3 days. Now, they worked their tail off setting up, serving and cleaning up and tearing down, but for 3 days solid, for a weekend or something, that they could earn 150, $200 on the side, under the table, straight cash, because it was just part of the deal. So, people were making money like, I work at Walmart and I don't bring home $150, and this is under the table and I got the rest of the week off. And there was other things they could make money at, but I mean, as a part-time job, they were making, to them, $150 under the table, and you get your regular check. Can't square that. That's $600 a month extra. I only make $1,000. So, hey, that's over half of what I make now. And if I had something like that I could go to, I would. But, I live in the rural areas, and, a lot of things that happen. And I've also learned to live within my means, and what do I really need, want, etc. So in my case, it's like until 2 years ago, when I got really bad off, I was making extra money. I worked at the local theater, and I made extra money working on sets and artistic things and setting lights for other people, and working at, around the community with lights. I used to do video recording and help with weddings and so forth. And, You can make $150 in an afternoon if you go just helping another videographer. Sometimes they get paid thousands of dollars in some of these instances, and especially with some of these rich folks around in some of these areas. So there are rich folks in communities all around the spot. So, but if you get in with the right areas, peoples, or whatever, you can work a short time and make a crap load of money. Yeah, you got to work for the man, but you get to go home afterwards and do what you want to do. You know what I mean? You're not a slave to the system. You might work like a slave for a couple of days doing what needs to get done, but in the end of it, you're the boss. You took the time off. You can choose whether or not you want to do it again or go to work back to work for these same people or whatever. I mean, you got options here. Centurion World. Hi there, or Wizpol. Whoa. No fear, embrace everything. Either I am dead or I am doing. Yeah, that's one of my things. I keep saying I ain't dead yet. And that's it. I ain't dead yet. Tooth of Me asked the questions. How many would like to talk about what they would like to do? Gardening, great thing. Hello, Delaney Jones, if you're still there. Dice spinning demonstrations. There are all kinds of things. I used to volunteer at the libraries doing storytelling and puppetry and hand out cards to people in the audience. And then I would get calls from other people, other organizations. They were doing a Christmas show or a special for the church group or whatever. And would I come and do a puppet show for them? So I would always do something for free and pass out cards for advertising purposes. But I always got something back out of it. Sometimes 2 or 3 years later, but I always got something back out of it. And I enjoyed what I doing with storytelling and puppets anyway. So rocking chair, yep. Centurion, read, fix something, watch the bees or the moon and stars, yep. Yep, agreed back to that. Centurion Wizofid. That's a tongue twister there. Meditation is a gift to yourself. We all need to be a bit easier on ourselves. Absolutely, Centurion. And if retirement doesn't do anything else, but it gives a person who spent a lifetime working for the system, however you want to look at it. If they worked 40 hours a week, they're working for the system, one way or the other. But that, goodness gracious, now you get to do what you want to do and your whole change of thought pattern. And it's an energetic change too. And some of my friends are like taking, they're depressed and they're fighting depression. I'm going, oh my God, you got all this life. Whatever is ahead of us is still there. It might be tomorrow. I hope not, but it's still ahead of me. So I'm going to embrace whatever's ahead of me, even if it's crappy, going to deal with it and move on because hopefully something's better on the other side. Sometimes you got to go through a mud hole to get to the river, but anyway, but the idea though that, people just, I don't know. And I think to myself, my problem is I have too many god dog things I want to do. And I got this project started over here. Don knows about this already. But here's a project, there's a project, everywhere's a project. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. But a project here and a project there. There's a chick everywhere. A chick. Old Hawkeye had a farm in Georgia, E-I-E-I-O. But anyway, that's kind of the way it is. But, for me, for my age, I realized that, hey, I did get a little older here these last few years. And guess what? I cannot do what I used to do, but that's okay. I can still do stuff. Am I asking for help now? Yep. Got help here and other folks who are willing to throw in a little bit of help along the way as well, which is good because sometimes we need to ask and put it out there instead of saying, well, I used to do this by myself. Oh yeah, I used to do a lot of stuff myself. I can't do now. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I might not be able to run 5 miles anymore, but because I can't walk or my back is bad, but I can paddle. Maybe I can ride a bike. Maybe I can ride there are other things to look at, and people just don't look at their options. So I think to myself, hello, Jody, how are you? Sweet pea, I think I said hello. Um, Milk out, quitting my job while freeing up all my time for what I wanted to do didn't make sense, made me less depressed. There were and are things in myself that I need to work out. I'm making progress. Very good, Milk Cow, because a lot of it is fear of one thing, next thing, other thing, that thing. And the best we can do is make a plan, make an outline, and stick to it. But the thing is that your own outline. People who work for themselves know that they work harder for themselves than anybody they ever worked for in real time out there somewhere. So, there is that. And the thing is that if you aren't handy, there are a lot of places in a lot of communities you can teach, that will teach you, you can learn how to do things. The other thing is that, especially if you're retired and you've got enough gas money to get back and forth to somewhere, apprentice. Like, for example, north of here is Tifton. They have a thing called Agrirama. And it's an old timey, what it was like in the 1840s to 1880s Georgia. And it's a small farm community, old farmhouses from around this area and in Georgia, and set up like a small community. They got a train that's coal driven. They got a sawmill that's run. They've got a grist mill. But the thing is you can volunteer there, okay? But some of the people who have volunteered there actually got hired on part time. So they did something that they wanted to do. They hung out. Well, one guy worked in the print shop. One worked as a part time for the horseshoe guy, the blacksmith. And then somebody worked in the grist mill when they were doing it. Then when they were pouring off the syrup to make sorghum syrup. But the people volunteered for this, got to know other people, and then it became a job. And then somebody needed work on their farm for a couple of days, and so it's that networking of old people. Instead of networking on the internet, you go to these places, meet other people, rub a few elbows, and see what happens. Have a business card of some kind, something that just says, "Hi, I'm Hawkeye Two Feathers." Whatever, here you go. Just so, or, you exchange addresses, email, or whatever. But the thing is though, if you don't get out, if you don't put yourself out there in any way, shape, or form, you might run into somebody that has got some kind of subject that they was like, hey, you want to come over and learn, help me do this? Well, I don't know. I've never done it before. Well, come on over. And you learn a whole new thing, like beer making or some weird, that's not that beer making is weird, but to the person who's never done it before, it might be weird to them. So, but the whole point of this is like, please understand that retirement is a chance at a whole nother point of view in the rest of your life. That's what's really important. And anytime you take an adventure of self, whether it be into trying to go into your own business or whatever it is, you reevaluate what really matters. If painting or lawn work or whatever it is that you do. Now, I got to say, there are some things that are just like, can you knit for a living? I don't know. There are some people who do embroidery and so forth. So, as a living, I don't extra money. Absolutely. Quilting, certain things. There are people who do, they sit in their rocking chair and knit all day long. And I couldn't knit half of what they do all day long in 20 minutes with what these folks do. I mean, these old ladies are quick and they don't even look down, And so it's like, but some of these ladies have sold quilts and things and stuff. And there's all kinds of ways. But are you willing to accept that there is a new, different thing out there? For all you old people that might be out there listening to this, come on, have some adventure. Are you going to get another chance at this late in life? I would say, come on, take it. Grab a hold of that brass ring about the thingy, blah, 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 that old saying. And come on, run it for all it's worth. Because where are you going from here? if we live to be 100, I'm still only going to get 30 something years out of this. And the way I'm not walking too much now, in 30 years, and I'm going to maybe get a little worse. I'm like, oh shit, come on, let's do it now while we can. So that's my answer to that subject. And you all are having a good time over here in the chat. And thank you so much for coming, as always. Big Little Mew, my girl is falling asleep at work, in work mode, at a belt in a foundry. She needs help. Oh my God, I've worked in a foundry. I've worked as a machinist, Big Little Mew. That is not good. I've got scars in my hands from that. So yeah, need to help her get out of that, or that person out. Yeah, girl, okay. Yeah, Melanie says, I am grateful for what I can do every day, every day. And in other sessions, he sold barrels. He did have to buy a trailer, but he sold a lot of them. People used them for all kind of stuff. Lots of outhouses actually out by the fields used them. That's a real, there's all kinds of strange things to do. My daddy used to get pecans and sweet potatoes in Georgia and bring them back and sell here in Florida. I made extra shelling them, halves and pieces. I've worked that same thing too. There are a lot of farmers down here that, in fact, a friend of mine who was here earlier that kind of interrupted my earlier live stream, he was talking about all the farmers in the last 10 or so years that have planted all these extra pecan trees down here in South Georgia. And when we were driving around yesterday, I saw a couple of them. I was like, that's a new field, but look, that's new planted pecan trees over there. So yeah, but picking up pecans for folks on halves, if they have a good harvest, they hire folks to go out and pick up pecans, and they weigh them up, and whatever it is, you get half because you picked them up. And so there are all kinds of little jobs like that around. Let's see, let me come back down in here. Yeah, Milk Cow, or Millie Cow, my eyeball's a little, the fear of not having steady work. Yep. You're still figuring out yourself, but I think I deal with stress by dissociation, basically numbing myself, and it kind of turns into depression. Yeah, you can't do that. There were times when I was, and there's also times when you got to realize too, like I went into debt because at the time we had a brand new cotton candy machine and popcorn maker and a trailer, and we used to do it as a job. I grew up on the carnival, and so later on in life I was going to retire with a little old trailer and some popcorn and cotton candy and sell some drinks and be real simple about it. And then it got to the point where they want $200-300 just to go to a place, and you go to a place and don't make any money, but so you spend all this money, the trip, the gas, everything, and it's like, in the bottom dropped out in that market. So I still have a popcorn machine as big as what's in most theaters, and a cotton candy machine. So it's like, hey, one of these nights we need to go out and make cotton candy just for the hell of it. But so, and I still got the joint trailer, so I made the investment and did all this stuff. We did all the advertising, even traveled to places, and went in the hole for the whole thing. Sometimes you have to realize that what started out as a good idea actually turned into a crappy one, and you needed to scrap it and go on, but anyway. Cherry says, and thank you, Cherry. You've been through a lot and transformed. I love your wanting to help others. Yeah, I mean, well, I've understood what my mission was a long time ago, but yeah, why not? And especially in this medium right here where, I can bump on here and talk to you folks. And many of you have had some absolutely, I swear you guys have been talking with the angels and in your comments and your associations and things. And thank you very much. But it is that, who realizes, the value I get from you all just by you being you is there's no money that you could pay me to get what you guys already give. So the value of things, the value of your spirit, what we share back and forth. You say thank you to me, and I say thank you to you because of what you give back in return because of our interaction. And so, that's of high value. And especially at my age, do I want a lot of money for what? Do I really want to go on a cruise? No, I don't want to be stuck on a ship with a bunch of other people and all the sickness and stuff and the crap that goes on in boats and weird crap and this and that. No, do I want to go on a cruise? No, but I'd take my canoe down to the ocean and put a sail on it and sail in the bay. Sure. So there are things I could still do, but I don't know. There are certain things like, well, when I retire, I'm going to go on an ocean cruise. When I look at what goes on some of those ocean cruises, and I've had friends of mine who used to work on ocean cruises, and they're like, you don't want to go. And I'm like, but why? You don't really want to go. The nasty that's, you don't really want to go. You don't know where these people have been, has been what they used to tell me. So it's like, so maybe I don't really want to take an ocean cruise after all. You know what I'm saying? So the things that may have enticed me years ago, or the Disney cruise, and ooh, I get to swim with Mickey. Oh yeah, boy, that ought to be fun. Where does he poo? But anyway, I digress. But to the point though, that's just it doesn't entice me anymore. Spending $70 to get into Walt Disney World down in Orlando does not really seem like a good time to me. Walking around with other people with diseases from everywhere, just saying. But, anyway, truth in me, what is a foundry? Okay, a foundry is where they do metal workings. In other words, a true foundry will actually pour metal. They will throw chunks of metal or aluminum or whatever into a big furnace and heat it up and liquidate it and then pour it into some kind of mold. That's what a true foundry is. But there are some foundries that don't necessarily do so much hot metal work as they do cold working, like stamping of things out of other metals and things like that. So depending on but a true foundry, which my grandfather worked in Ohio up there in Dayton, it does include the pouring of liquid metals, usually cast iron or some type of steel. There are some foundries here around Moultrie that do a lot of aluminum casting. So foundry could be either one or combination of certain things, because once you got one furnace, you can just about do the other. Aluminum requires a lot less heat than does steel and hardened steels and some cast irons. But anyway, pine seeds are one thing as well. My dad used to pick pine cones for the seeds and then sell them by the pound. Yep, there's that too. Had a great idea to have popcorn movie night at the farm, talent night too. Popcorn machine is so cool. I don't want to go to a cruise on a cruise boat. No. All right, let's see. You're helping a young woman now through medical issues and support. Was hard after losing my girl, but it's my heart. Can't turn my back on her. She was Sophie's friend since 13. Her mom, I'll be. That's understandable. And there are folks that I have in my life that, thankfully, some of them have turned out really well. And I'm so pleased to have known them. But a couple of them have kind of taken the opposite turn. But I will still love them and help them and have in the past. It's been their own self-destruction that has kept them from allowing some of them to pull them out of the slime, if you were. Truth of me, you've been to Dayton too? Well, I used to live in Dayton, was born in Cincinnati, but then they dragged me to Florida and I grew up in Tampa. But I could sell popcorn at the farm. Which farm? How far is it? Can I get there? But anyway, yeah, I love my popcorn, even though, being toothless as I am, it's a little difficult, but, and I can make some strange cotton candy, let me tell you. A big little Muse says we are as hot as 2,700 degrees. Yep. That sounds lower steel up in the, you can at least do, I think aluminum is like in 17 to 1800. I'm not sure, but yeah. Yeah, you're welcome for explaining that. Yep, you're welcome. Um, Centurion says last founder here was Saint Stephen, NB. I'm not sure where NB is in 1977. Yeah, we used to have a foundry in Moultrie, Smith Iron Works, and they made lids for they made manhole covers. That's what they did. They made manhole covers for all kinds of folks in all kinds of places, and they did it for quite a few years. And it was one of the few places where you could actually get a lump of coal to do if you want. There are a lot of horses down around this area, North Tallahassee. Well, North Tallahassee more, but and Thomasville and around. So there are a lot of farriers or folks who do horseshoes. I say a lot. Actually, if I knew more about horseshoes, I could probably do work as a farrier doing horseshoes. But there are many blacksmiths around that travel around and do horseshoeing kind of thing. And there are folks out there who beg for assistance, who beg for you. You want to learn? I'll show. I'll even pay you. Come, because they have so many horses they can't get to them all. So, but anyway, you pick up a pine cone and shake it. But you gotta wait till the right time of year. Otherwise, you can shake all you want to, and that seed ain't coming out of that pine cone. You have to wait till the pine cone opens all the way. That's the trick. If you wait till it's only partially open, you ain't gonna get them seeds out. I'm growing up in Florida around here. We used to do the same thing and collect the seeds. Mostly we used to decorate the pine cones for Christmas coming up. So, but the best pine cones now are starting to open up their cones now and dropping their seeds. So, but if you get the cones too early, but anyway, that's a 10 cent on that one. Videos on how to get out thrashing the pine cone, then you can put it in sealed bags. Yeah, but the whole point though is though if you don't wait until that pine cone reaches a certain point, you'll never get the seeds out. But so, and then the rest of the thrashing, the idea is about the putting it in a bag or something. That's a very good idea. And the best kind of bag that I've seen to use is turn a pillowcase inside out. It's worth a brand new pillowcase to use because the seeds don't really the cotton bag and everything. It actually is better than a plastic bag. The plastic bag sets up a type of a static charge. So does the cotton bag, but not as much as the plastic. Plus, the cotton, you don't want the seeds to get moisture in them, and a plastic bag will have a tendency to rot your seeds if you're not careful. So, if you're getting any kind of seeds, a cloth bag first, because that helps to keep the right dryness, if you will, in the seeds or whatever you're trying to preserve. So, that's a little heads up on that too. But yeah, 'tis the season to be jolly. Right now, the fall is when more flowers, quote flowers, if you will, there are more things blooming now than in the springtime. All of the weeds are flowering. There's the oh crap, I can't think of them now. But anyway, fall is the best times for weeds to bloom, and now is the time, if you haven't already, to go out and pick your fall herbs, flowers, edibles, and also your medicinals, because you can all of the books that you have, they always show you with flowers. Well, if it doesn't flower till this time of the year, then how in the hell you know what it looks like? Now's the time to grab your books and go outside, especially if the further north you are. Down here in the south, we got another couple of weeks that some of these things will still bloom. But with the way the temperatures and things are and the solar radiation coming in, some of this stuff don't look good. Don and I took a walk earlier and I was like, man, some of this stuff's just fried. It's not supposed to look like that. But anyway, but things are blooming now at this time of the year. It is the season to be jolly for all medicinals and a lot of medicinals to be blooming now and putting out seeds. So get your collection bags out now. Um, Let's see. Go back up here. I was a florist too for several years. Up your way, we need to what? You've collected many different pine cones, and some seeds are very flat. Most of the seeds in a pine cone are flat. They have like little wings on them. There's a little seed pod that comes up, but all of the different pine trees have a slightly different seed because their cones are slightly different. But the one thing that is the same about all pine cones is they gotta open up, or the seeds aren't even ripe, and they won't come out, at least not without a lot of trouble. And if the seed isn't mature enough, then you're not going to get what you wanted out of the seed to begin with anyway. You're battling with Wapaka Management owned by Hitachi. Ooh, that sounds nasty. Yeah, pine cones are really neat. We got down here where I live, we've got slash pine, which the pine cones are much smaller. And then we've got the longleaf yellow pine, which is an extinct species at the moment. And I have 10 of them down on the river that actually survived the hurricane. But the pine cones are huge, where the other ones, they sit in your hand kind of thing. So, but pine cones should be dropping soon. So I'll do a collection usually before Thanksgiving, because every year when it came time for Thanksgiving down where I grew up and everything, we always made pine cone turkeys. Well, when the pine cones were open enough to make a turkey out of at Thanksgiving, the seeds were coming out. So right now is about the times, to be collecting those seeds. But wait for the cones to open is my only 10 cents. Yeah, I've got to be open. Talking about using the empty cones to cinnamon scent. I used to put them in a mason jar. Yep. Jack of all trades, master of none. Is that what that was? Hang on. Yeah, that was always my phraseology. I want to grow pine nuts. If they're true pine nuts, you just find a bunch of pine trees, but uh, you need a bunch of property to buy. We got pine cones. I guess we got pine nuts. Hadn't thought about that. Wildcrafting is good too. Yeah. Anyone have suggestions for planting an indoor hanging garden? Yes, Jody. What do you like to eat? Now, there are many things. There are viney kind of things. When you walk in my back door, you are met with vines and trees and plants and stuff as soon as you walk in the back door. And I've been threatening to move it. And I go, well, wait a minute. I want people to walk into my garden, if you will, my passive solar house. But find out what you like. If you want to, if it's just a flowering plant, which definitely, if somebody told me I had to get rid of all my plants out of the house, not that there are that many, but I would like, no, I got to have something living in the house other than me. But to plants, though, like, for example, this time of year, lettuce. There are different kinds of cabbage that you can grow that's ornamental. It's beautiful and tastes great in a salad. There are lots of things that you can grow. You could start out seeds for onions in just a little old, take an empty, coffee can and poke a couple, not too many, but a couple holes in the bottom and fill it full of some dirt from outside somewhere and put some darn seeds in it. But as a hanging plant, do you want something to like hang down over the sides? Then look into different kinds of things. Like I've got wandering Jew. Oh my God, it takes over everywhere and comes down. There's a viney plant I got over there, but I can't remember what it is. There are all different types of ivies and things, but there are also different kinds of, you can grow the little small cherry tomatoes in a pot and let them hang down and grow that way. So it's like, and then you kind of tie, if it gets heavy, you can tie a string onto some of the limbs of the cherry tomatoes and tie them back up to the pot. But instead of trying to grow the tomatoes up out of the plant, that you hang them up and then grow them upside down. It's like, like the new thing. There was even you could buy something at the store or online or something. You grow tomatoes upside down, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's the same thing if you just let them droop. Tomatoes are vines by any stretch, but My comment isn't meant for you. I'm sorry, Big Little View. Uh, no, I meant that I was a jack of all trades as well. My remark was along with you, but that's what they called me. But anyway, yeah, let's see. Grow lights are really important indoors. And one of the things, what you need to do is look at the plants that you have. If you will do a little bit of research, and it's not hard, every single fluorescent tube, every single light bulb will tell you in what area of light does it cover. Is it more in the red or is it more in the blue? It will tell you what light spectrum it has. So over here, for example, I've got a black light, which is it's a true black light. It's a dark blue purple bulb, but when you turn it on, it makes the white stuff glow. Not one of these fake screw-in light bulbs that's supposed to be a black light. Nope, wrong frequency. When you look at the frequency of lights and what Kelvin and whatever it burns at, you can get fluorescent lights of varying lengths of the correct frequency that you need without having to buy grow lights. What you do, you find out the light frequencies that your plant grows best with, and you buy the appropriate fluorescent tubes that provide that. So you can have a fluorescent workshop tube and have one of one frequency and one of the other in the same one and get a broad spectrum. And all you have to do is buy two separate types of fluorescent tube. Some of them are even LED tubes now, and they come in different frequency of light so that you can have the right thing when you grow it indoors. Or I'm using south faced with I'm using passive solar partial greenhouse with help with fluorescent lights and or LED lights. But people want to sell you these kits that are so expensive. You can buy a work light for $12 at Lowe's, two sets of bulbs for one light, and two with one frequency, two of this one, and get what you need for $20. And you'll have extra bulbs when the two you first put in. So, but anyway, I learned that years ago in growing marijuana indoors, back before anybody else was doing it. Not to say I was one of the first, but in our area, we were some of the first, and we learned a lot about fluorescent tubing, and also, for example, using mirrors and aluminum foil to keep the light in the space that you need, so it's not going off in different places. But anyway, all plants were, look up some of the stuff, how some of these people are growing marijuana indoors. And you can grow the same thing. If you can grow weed, you can grow any dadgum thing you want. Now, don't start growing a tree or something indoors unless you have intentions of taking it out. But find out what you like and grow it. Go to the local nursery. You can go to Lowe's and some of these places in their gardening section. But if you want to get something that is really good for your area, then go to the local nursery, because they will have plants that have been climatized to your area, where Lowe's, Home Depot, and some of these other places, they get stuff from greenhouses from all over and sell it in their local stores, when it may not be a local variety that it may not be a variety that's actually good locally. So go to your local nursery and ask them folks and browse around, and they'll lead you in areas that will probably be much better than one of the nurseries at one of the big box places. So, but anyway, yeah, cherry tomatoes. You can do regular tomatoes too, if they're just the regular. The beefsteak tomatoes are kind of heavy, but you can still do them if you got the space. So, a bag of soil, lay it flat, cut out rectangle from the top, plant lettuce right in it. You can use 3x5 clear tub. Yep. It's really simple to grow stuff, and using recycled cans and things and stuff like that. Oh my God, just go around and put some potting soil in it. Or if you know where if you live in the country like I do, I know where there are places where there's some really rich bottomland. I can use that for, I don't need to buy potting soil. There are ways to plant things that don't cost any money or not much money except for the seeds. So, yes, that was very good, Melanie. A very good idea. Yeah, walnuts. Yeah, see, there are certain things we can't grow down here either in South Georgia, but pecan trees are all over the place where walnuts and other things, not so much. Um, Blue frequency for green leaves changed to red spectrum for flowering and fruiting. Right, Ian. I always forget it, but I got it wrote down somewhere. But there's so much information now on light spectrums. But on fluorescent tubes, they will have on them what their light frequency is, and you just match which one you need. Do a little bit of research. I got some over here in the corner. If I could get to them, I'd show you. But the thing is just understand that not all fluorescents and the daylight bulbs will give a different light than the soft white or the cool white. Then one of each will get you a basic what you need all the way around. If you're not, unless you're trying to go all blue or all red. But if you just want something to grow that's like normal daylight, one of the daylight and one of the cool whites will probably get you there. It'll grow a lot of stuff without going to a lot of difficulty. Just saying, you'd be surprised. But seed swap in your area. Not that I know of, but when you get together with people and start going to places and sharing, then there are people like today that drove up in the yard to come visit. And I gave them some of these, what they call the passion flower, and dug up a couple of bulbs in the yard. And next time they come to visit, they're going to bring me bulbs of some kind of pineapple plant or something. So gardeners share things with other gardeners, and other herbalists share other herbs with other people. So, I mean, we're all just a little farther apart from each other, but we do this now. And the thing about the retirement thing is like, well, we don't have anything to do. There's a lot of really neat people I've met sharing flowers. And we might not know so much about flowers, but hey, I got a cutting, they got a cutting. But we talk about other things in between. It ain't always about just the flowers. So there are many things that will bring people together, but the flower or tubes or, medicinal herbs or, check out in your area. There's so many things. So, hey, Max Vision, if I missed you before, I'm growing cherry trees in HP sauce bottles. Yeah, there you go. I mean, maple syrup. Yeah, we don't have maple syrup down here, but they do a lot of. This is the time of year for cane syrup, and when they cook off the syrup, make cane syrup. Oh my God! Sure enough, homegrown cane syrup. Oh my God! That's why Cairo, Georgia, is named Cairo. They're the syrup makers. But anyway, bulbs from fish aquariums can provide the same light as gardening lights. Yeah, see, and the thing is what most people don't understand is that a daylight bulb is like some gardening bulbs, but they put a name on it. This kind of thing. It's all about labeling. But if you look at the light frequencies, the daylight bulb and this one that they're selling for 3 times as much as a grow light has the same freaking frequency as this one over here that's only $3 a piece. Uh, you have to look at what's underneath. Speaking of syrup, there you go. Grow moringa can keep small if inside. Chop it off and it comes right back. Healthiest food. One other thing that I got started here in my yard, and it'll be coming up as soon as the weather changes, but is clove. Yeah, garlic clove. Garlic. Garlic's good for everything, and get some started. Get a couple of cloves. Also ginger. Start some ginger in a pot, which I forgot to do, but I need to get some more ginger root. Those 2 things right there, garlic and ginger root, which is easy to grow indoors and stuff. Oh my God, the healing properties of just those 2 plants right there. So anyway, you can make candy with maple syrup or cane syrup, like rock candy. Yep. There was a certain type of hard, they called it hardtack way back in the days. Old movies, you hear them talk about hardtack. They're talking about like cane syrup is or some kind of really sugary thing, and it goes, with a piece of beef jerky and some hardtack, man, you can get across the mountains with that. Milk cow. So my great grandpa and now my uncle had a shack on his land, and he'd grow sorghum cane every year. They'd harvest, crush it into juice, and boil it down into sorghum. They used to have that around here a lot, a lot. 10 gallons of sorghum cane juice makes 1 gallon of sorghum. Yep. And ain't it fun to sit around the fire and stir it? It's like molasses, but more mild flavor. It's amazing with butter on biscuits. Oh, shut up. Ooh, you make me hungry. Fresh biscuits with oh my goodness gracious. Ooh, never knew. I will have to look that up. Thank you. You're absolutely welcome. All right, you all. I was going to get on here for a couple. Yeah, sorghum is very expensive, but they still have places down here in the South where you can get local sorghum. Oh my God, I still got a little bit at the bottom of a bottle. And somebody was like, I'm going to use half this bottle on my pancakes. And I said, over my dead body. What you talking about is, man, like, well, I'm gonna, whoa, give me that bottle, and I'll scrape some of them back off your damn hot cakes and put back in this bottle. You take my sorghum and do like that. What, are you kidding me? But anyway, yeah, I have literally fought over my sorghum. Not joking, seriously. This guy needed a good clout in the head over it anyway. But not that I hit him, but I was ready to fight. I tell you, for real. It smells amazing when it's cooking. Keep it in the fridge. Laugh my ass off. I'm getting hungry. I know. I got the smell of fresh biscuits. Dang it, y'all! With some honey or some syrup on it. Oh my God! Let's all go bake some biscuits. One of my old jars turned jelly, like I've eaten a little and haven't died, but I'm still kind of suspicious. Listen, I've got some old jelly, and I've scraped the mold off of it. If it's jelly, it probably is still okay. I mean, it's amazing what jelly is as a jelly. But anyway, I put all of it in the fridge after I found it. Yum. It smells like the same, but it's gelatinous. But that's what it is. One of the tests that I do with something is like, does that have that kind of alcohol taste to it? It'll just get you a buzz if it does. Melanie, I had no idea. Heck, I can grow it. I'm going to look for some sorghum seed. Actually, the sorghum, a lot of times will come as a cutting, as a root cutting. But just saying. My friends, I love you. It's 8 o'clock and on a Friday evening. And then blessings to you all. Lots of other things going on and people going off to do things. Sugar usually crystallizes. Yep. And you can always turn it into wine, by the way. Yeah. But blessings to you all, and keep up the good work. And I hope this has been a profitable, and I'm ready for biscuits. I got some in the freezer that are frozen biscuits that are fixing to go in the toaster oven. Just saying. So my friends, you absolutely, just slightly, I'm not complaining. It only tasted slightly fermented. I go with slightly fermented milk cow. So just saying. But anyway, love to you all, and I'll end with the prayers as always. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive the blessings from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of your relations will continue to accept and receive the blessing, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue sharing your angel messages and your blessings with the rest of us. And until next time, my friends, be safe, be kind, be compassionate, keep it between the ditches, pray for rain where it's needed. I love you all, we do. And until next time, TTFN from South Georgia.